Do you know that it takes more than 40 gallons of maple sap just to make 1 jug of maple syrup? This is probably why maple syrup can cost as much as $10 per bottle. It takes a laborious process to make one. However, many grocery stores are now filled with fake maple syrup. This is probably news to you since not many people are aware that maple syrup can also be faked. This kind of maple syrup lacks real maple sap, so it's cheaper than the real ones. It seems that it's not only maple syrup that's been faked, but also more pricey foods that people often enjoy. The primary reason for this deception is money. Some of it is legal, as long as the fake products clearly stated on the packaging and the ingredients used, even if it's a bit deceptive. However, there are cases where it's outright illegal, involving entire criminal networks behind these counterfeit foods. The global fraudulent food industry could be worth a staggering $40 billion. At the least, you're getting ripped off. And at the worst, you might be consuming harmful substances. This information can be scary since we put our trust in these food companies. It is always better to read the labels and make sure that we know what we are consuming. The big question is how these fake foods infiltrate our grocery stores, restaurants, and kitchens. Let's find out together as we explore the most common counterfeited foods and understand how to distinguish genuine products from fake ones. But before we proceed, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell for the upcoming videos. The first on the list is truffles. The sad truth is that those delicious truffle fries you enjoy likely don't contain any real truffle. What's commonly known as truffle oil is actually manufactured entirely in a lab, with no connection to actual mushrooms. Real truffles are both expensive and rare, requiring specific conditions to grow, and often found in countries like Italy, France, or the UK. Truffles are typically discovered alongside certain trees. The truffle itself, the part we use, is the fruiting body, similar to an apple. While pigs used to be trained to find truffles, nowadays, dogs are often the preferred choice for their keen sense of smell. Determining whether to unearth a truffle depends on its ripeness. The nose becomes crucial in this process, as an unripe truffle is not worth harvesting. Successful truffle farming is now possible, with about 80% of black truffles being cultivated. However, cultivating the more expensive white truffles is challenging, and most times it's always a failure. This is why truffles are expensive and have a high susceptibility to counterfeiting. Wild harvested truffles are often delivered in labeled bags, making it easy for fraudsters to substitute them with cheaper alternatives without detection. Truffle oil poses its own challenges, as it's typically a blend of olive or sunflower oil with a synthetic compound called 2,4-dithiapentane, derived from petroleum. This compound shares the aromatic component of food odor, providing that earthy taste and sometimes a gas-like smell. Anything labeled with truffle flavoring or aroma is a red flag for counterfeiting. The most reliable way to ensure you're getting a real truffle is to see it shaved right in front of you and make sure it looks and smells like the genuine mushroom product. Maple syrup is another most commonly counterfeited food product. According to a food fraud lawyer we consulted, up to half of the products labeled as 100% maple syrup might actually be fake. Authentic maple syrup is extracted directly from maple trees. Canada is the source of 85% of the world's supply. In 2022, a company in Vermont set a production record. This company uses steam to heat its sap, employs machines to filter and bottle the syrup, and typically completes the process within 6 hours. Producing just 1 gallon of real maple syrup requires about 44 gallons of sap, making it significantly more expensive than imitation pancake syrups. Imitation maple syrup often contains a mixture of corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, caramel color, and added flavorings. While this type of syrup is not illegal, you can easily identify it as not real maple syrup when terms like pancake syrup or table syrup are on the label. On the other hand, genuine maple syrup will be labeled as 100% or pure, with the ingredients list featuring only maple syrup. However, there's a more troubling form of syrup fraud. The FDA reports instances where companies have bottled and sold fake syrup labeled as 100% real syrup. They don't care that they're selling fakes as long as they're earning so much profit. This type of deception is illegal. In such cases, examining the consistency can be a helpful clue, as real syrup is often thinner compared to fake corn-based syrups. So keeping an eye on the product can ensure you're getting the genuine maple syrup experience. This may surprise you, but wasabi is also one of the most counterfeited food. It's estimated that only 1% of American wasabi and 5% of Japanese wasabi is genuine. The majority of what passes as wasabi is actually a blend of horseradish, a sweetener, and food starch. It's amusing to think that many people profess their love for wasabi and sushi when, in reality, they may have never experienced the real deal. The FDA lacks specific guidelines for the term wasabi, so only general labeling rules apply. As long as the ingredients list is accurate, it's legal to label something as prepared wasabi, even if it's just horseradish. While eating it won't make you sick, it simply doesn't capture the true taste of authentic wasabi. Genuine wasabi is part of the Brassicaceae family, related to vegetables like horseradish, cabbage, or broccoli. However, it can cost nearly 30 times more than its imitated counterparts. The demand for wasabi far exceeds its supply since it's an incredibly rare plant. Wasabi grows naturally along Japanese mountain springs, where the conditions are mild, and there's sufficient shade and gravel soil. The Wasabi Company in the UK is the first commercial grower in Europe, perfectly recreating the specific conditions of Japan where wasabi can grow. Despite their efforts, it takes a painstaking 18 months before the plant is ready for harvesting. The process involves hand harvesting, followed by the laborious task of breaking apart the entire plant and cleaning up the rhizomes. Unlike other crops, there's no machine to help in this process. To distinguish real wasabi, look for a chunkier texture with a gritty feel, as opposed to the smoothness of horseradish-based wasabi. The authentic version also has a more subtle, less spicy kick. If you did not see a wasabi being grated fresh in front of you, it's highly unlikely that it's genuine wasabi. Genuine wasabi can cost up to $319 per kilogram because it's really rare and requires a long process and extensive labor in its cultivation. Parmesan cheese is another victim of confusing labeling, with only about 300 dairies worldwide certified to produce authentic Parmigiano Reggiano. Strict regulations dictate that it can only be made in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy, the sole place with the necessary bacteria to impart Parmesan's distinctive taste. The process involves combining day-old skim and fresh milk, adding whey and rennet, and then separating the milk into curds. After a brief cooking period, the curds settle at the bottom, resulting in a massive 220-pound curd. Cheesemakers then mold it, add stencils for authenticity, and send it through brining and aging rooms. It takes at least a year for the cheese to develop crunchy crystals, rich in amino acids, enhancing the umami taste. Some wheels age for up to a decade, increasing in value as more crystals form. One wheel of authentic Parmesan can cost well over $1,000. However, different countries have varying regulations. In the US, for example, products can be labeled as Parmesan without adhering to the strict Italian rules for Parmigiano Reggiano. American Parmesan may be aged for only 10 months, whereas Italy requires at least a year. The real deviation from authenticity occurs in grated Parmesan cheese. In the US, producers can include fillers like rice flour or cellulose, commonly derived from wood pulp, to prevent clumping. The Center for Dairy Research suggests keeping cellulose levels between 2 and 4%, but companies aren't required to disclose these percentages, leading to potential abuse. In 2016, Walmart's Great Value 100% Parmesan was reported to contain 7.8% cellulose, nearly double the recommended limit. A more malicious form of Parmesan fraud involves criminals labeling counterfeit cheese as genuine Italian Parmigiano Reggiano, estimated to generate illegal sales of $2 billion annually. This harms the authentic Parmesan industry in Italy, affecting market share and value. To ensure you're buying authentic Parmesan, avoid shakers and look for chunks with the words Parmigiano Reggiano spelled out in dots. Genuine Parmesan will also carry a protected designation of origin label. Lastly, the taste can be a reliable indicator, as authentic Parmigiano Reggiano develops crystals and offers a complex, fruity, and nutty flavor depending on its age. These are just 4 of the most counterfeited foods in the market today. If you want to know more, check out part 2 of this video, and surely you'll be more surprised than this list. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button to stay updated on the latest videos.